Welcome back to Logan Rando Aquascaping. My name is Logan, and today I've got tips and tricks for you when you're taking down and fully dismantling a mature planted aquarium. As you can see behind me, my UNS60U, the tank that started this channel, it's been set up for 1.5 years, and I just took it down and I was able to do everything in a single day. So I'm gonna kind of walk you through that step-by-step process and give you lots of tips that'll make it super safe for your livestock and make the process less stressful and very doable for you. So first, let's talk about the preparation that you should do before you even touch the tank. So odds are if you have a mature planted aquarium, it has some livestock in it, perhaps some combination of shrimp and fish. I have both in this tank. So if you're dismantling the tank and you're gonna do a massive rescape, you're gonna wanna set up a temporary tank for your livestock. And I recommend doing that at least 24 hours in advance. So you're gonna need a spare tank. It can be smaller, it's not their permanent home, and you're gonna need a spare filter. For this, I highly recommend going with a little hang-on back filter and then popping some media from your mature filter into that hang-on back filter. And what you want to do is drain water from the aquascape that you're taking down and put it into that new tank that will temporarily house your livestock. This will ensure that the temperature of the water and the hardness is the same. Get a heater in there to make sure everything is consistent and that you don't shock your livestock when you add them. So now that we have our livestock foster home set up, it is time to get started dismantling the tank. And things are gonna get messy. This is kind of hide your wife, hide your kids type of activity. Put on some music or a podcast, grab some old towels that you don't mind dirtying up. It's a messy process, so do it on a day that you're prepared to make a little bit of a mess and you have the house to yourself. So the first thing you wanna do is drain some of the water out of that tank. The last thing you wanna be is elbow deep in the tank and you're sloshing water onto the floor. So drain a few inches down so you can really get your elbows in there without making a massive mess. And after I drain some of the water, the first thing I do is see if I can catch some easy livestock. So I've got guppies in this tank. Anytime I turn the filter off, they think it's feeding time. So I was able to do exactly that. Take advantage of that trust and grab whoever you can before you start tearing things up, because that's gonna help minimize any stress that you put onto your livestock. So once your easy catches are out of the way, it's time to start removing hardscape elements, because the more things you remove from the tank, the more you're going to eliminate hiding spots and make it easier to catch your livestock. Be very, very careful. You don't want to damage the glass or any livestock, and just really tease it out delicately. Don't force anything, but if you have large pieces that can come out in one fell swoop, I recommend grabbing those first. And what I like to do is, because I'm running a canister filter, I'll sort of run the filter throughout this process so that the water, as it gets really cloudy, it'll clear up so I can see what I'm doing. This is really, really crucial if you have livestock in the tank. And then as the large main key hardscape elements are out of your tank, I'm also removing some large key planting sections. This is gonna help reduce hiding spots for the fish and make them easier to catch. And in the case of my shrimp, I have my UNS5N set up right next to this tank, so pretty much anytime I see a shrimp, I'm grabbing my net, it's close by at all times, and I'm just adding it right directly into my UNS5N. So if you already have a mature tank that has the same water parameters, you can go ahead and add your livestock to that, but if you don't, you'll have to run them over to your foster tank. Once the majority of the hardscape and the plants have been removed from the tank, it's time to start dealing with the most annoying part, and that is the soil. I sort of use a combination of two different techniques. The first technique uses a plastic measuring cup. You always want to use plastic in and around your tank because glass can chip the tank. So with the plastic, I'm going in there and I'm sort of scooping out soil, almost like it's a shovel of sorts. I've also seen people use like a dustpan to sort of get under it and scoop out. And the key with this is I like to put it in a garbage can with a very small bag. If you grab a giant bag and you put a tank's worth of soil in it, you're probably gonna rip the bag. So it's better to use a lot of plastic bags and not make them too heavy than just use one big plastic bag and then risk it falling apart from the bottom. And then once I've grabbed the majority of my aqua soil out of the tank, it could be sand or a gravel in your case, I'm gonna switch over to my siphon, and I'm literally just siphoning siphoning out the soil into a bucket. Obviously, it'll sink to the bottom of the bucket, and then what you can do is dump out the water and then dispose of the aqua soil itself. Because when things get down really low in the tank and there's not much soil left, it's much easier to siphon it out. Alternatively, if you don't want to siphon it, I recommend refilling the tank with some more water and then just continuing to scoop it out with your plastic containers. However, I find that the siphon method works really, really well. But when you get to this part of the process, you shouldn't have any more livestock in the tank. And then after that, I recommend really giving the tank a nice clean. And for this process, I'm using a melamine sponge. This allows me to get into the corners of the tank. It allows me to remove calcium stains from the rim and really just quickly and efficiently scrub all over. You could also use a toothbrush, but this is a great process to do while you're dismantling the tank so that when you're ready to scape and get in there and begin puzzling with Hardscape, everything will look nice and new and sparkling clean. And finally, just wipe everything down with a dry rag. Use some Windex if you want on the glass to really get it sparkling clean. And the process of dismantling your tank is done. So as you can see, with some tips and taking your time and being methodical and being patient, this doesn't have to be a stressful process. And with a little bit of preparation and the creation of a foster home for your livestock, you can really minimize any stress to them. Let me know down below in the comments if you have any awesome tips that I haven't mentioned for dismantling a mature planted aquarium, and stay tuned very soon for the rescape of my UNS60U. I'm really excited. I've got some awesome tech that I'm going to be implementing, and I'm open to suggestions for what type of layout we should use in the new scape. So feel free to drop me a comment, and I will see you guys and gals next time.